Good afternoon, dear friends of nature, if I may call you, as you are interested in my subject today of peace with nature. I'll call you friends of nature. This is my first day after a cycle of major operation, but I like so much involved with the subject, and also so much a good friend of our host. I couldn't resist to come up and do this presentation. Although some regional armed clashes are going on in our world, much feared Third World War looks like will be prevented. However, our planet is facing more destructive and severe issues than an expected Third World War, such as deforestation and desertification, climate change and natural disasters, water stress, and food security. During the second half of last century, something happened which is not well noticed. The natural resources started being destroyed, consumed and polluted to such a degree that leaves no chance for their renewal or replenishment. In other words, we started eating away from the capital of our resources of our world. And that means, in a word, in business terms, going bankruptcy. This depletion is mainly due to productions unfriendly to nature, insane consumption and dreadful waste, and incredible population growth. During the second half of last century, population tripled. The population of our planet tripled. And the developed countries turned to the underdeveloped countries, told them, our planet cannot hold such a population growth. And the underdeveloped countries turn to them and they say, all right, but the babies born in your countries start consuming 30 times more than the babies born in our countries. You stop also such waste and insane consumption. Now this exhaustion, of course, we have already seen the signs of such depletion. 1/3 of land that could be cultivated, 1/2 of grasslands, meadows, are no longer productive and are degrading to deserts. Hunger, water scarcity, poverty, and migration have reached scary levels. Some lakes and wetlands are drying. Some rivers cannot reach to sea some seasons of the year. Big rivers, Yellow River, Ganges, Colorado. Underground water level kept on lowering. In other words, water stress is a reality, which is very essential for all livings. During the second half of last century, also we saw that the forests of size of Portugal lost every year. One-third of tropical forests no longer exist, and forest fires accelerated. Which are very important, the vegetation of our planet. And we are losing, although some countries are increasing their green land and forestry, but most are losing. Climate change is a reality. Fourfold increase in carbon emissions, too great to be absorbed with such decreasing vegetation. Carbon emission increasing, green areas decreasing. Reverse, very reverse phenomenon. During this second half of last century, ecosystems are further upset. Why? Because, like I mentioned, the natural resources are being deteriorated, polluted, or consumed, or somehow destroyed. These natural resources, mainly soil, air, water, vegetation, biological diversity, they all depend on each other. And they create an ecosystem which holds our main nature together. This ecosystem is in danger now. And as a result, natural disasters are 4 times more frequent, 15 times more destructive, according to the insurance companies. We were always talking about a storm damage of Andreas, about $15 billion. Then again came a Katrina, which costed over $150 billion. And same damage in Pakistan because of the last huge floods. So natural disasters are getting very important for our planet. And biodiversity destruction is at alarm. About 100 species, known and unknown, are estimated to continue to disappear every day from our planet. And if nothing done, half of all species could vanish in 1 century, in a century. I will give a few examples of why such species are important. At the left corner here, you see a conic snail which lives in coral islands. Coral islands are in danger. They are deteriorating for several reasons. And this species, this snail, is under danger of being extinct. So they made an extensive study on this snail, what it is. They found out that it sends a needle to its enemy, or foe, or prey. Sort of a harpoon. But before it sends that needle, a combination of enzymes it produces are treated with this needle, and it sends with such enzymes. And it makes, on the other side, anesthetizes the prey of the enemy. So they studied this cocktail of enzymes, what it is, and they found out that it is very effective on a system which transmits pain from any place of the body to brain. So imagine millions of people have pains, and usually they are told, all right, we cannot do anything else, these medicines are no longer good, or they have side effects and we have to live with this. There are some other chances for such people. And this is all in nature. There is one more example there, Thermopsis turcica. It's endemic to Turkey. A plant grows near Afyon, around Eber Lake. It is among the legume family, big plant family, and it is the only member of that family which has 3-4 ovaries in one flower. All the rest, one ovary in one flower, one fruit from one flower. This gives 4 fruits from one flower. The only member in that big family. Now imagine if this falls in love with beans or peas from the same family. Imagine the productivity. And now the world is going to food security problem. Such species would be needed, and unfortunately they are under danger of being extinct. So biological richness is one of the most important issues of our century. We should try to keep that. In the United States, wheat was developed to a best productivity. They said no more productivity can be obtained from wheat. But then a disease came, they tried everything, all kinds of measures, couldn't find a solution. Finally they said, let's go to Mesopotamia, where the first regular agriculture was in the world developed. And in a castle someplace they found a wild wheat, brought this to the United States and intercrossed, and they did get wheat type which was productive and resistant to that disease. And they saved $50 million every year from chemicals. The source is Al Gore, what I'm talking about. So this is a big subject by itself, but I can only give you 3 examples to continue. Now again, this second half of last century, the economy has grown 7 times, good, but the abyss between rich and poor grows deeper. in order for economy to serve both our planet and mankind, and not to destroy its sources, and to reverse environmental destruction, something has to be done. Environment and poverty should not be ignored. They should be considered together. Sustainable development with productions friendly to nature and eco-economy concept must be. Ecology must be at the center. Like guru of environmental movement Lester Brown says, until 16th century, people thought that the sun was revolving around our planet. Now, we're thinking that ecology is moving around our planet. We have to put ecology at the center and design everything else accordingly. Global economy should be restructured, including taxes, incentives, and prices, all in favor of environment. And very important, cost must include social consequences. If we compare the fuel, oil with wind or renewable, and don't put into the cost of the social consequences. Like for the oil, we say, all right, we'll take out from the pipe out from the ground and then pipe it to a refinery and then to the pump stations, and so much cost, all right. What is the cost of the problem it makes on climate change? That cost is nowhere. How can you compare it with wind or soil or sun energy if you don't include such social damages that fuel does? So, in one sentence, cost must include social consequences to compare. My foundation, ANG Foundation, some with the title of Tema, we did go through some productions friendly to nature, like queen bee breeding, organic honey production, diversification of ecotours, including ornamental trees, flies, bee safaris, you name it. Enriched the ecotours, industrial forest plantations. I will touch maybe just two of them later. But ongoing, we are working on mastic tree development, plantations of cork oaks, natural silk production. Turkey was second to China once in silk production. Now we are nowhere. It's being again trying to develop. Plans to replace tea plantations. Tea plantations started damaging nature in east coast of Black Sea because of the terrain is very steepy and they are opening from the forest. more areas. So some other plant must be introduced to give them a second income, not to extend tea plantations. That is very possible. Most possibly it is landscaping flower which grow in such climate. And we have started testing such plants here. Plants resistant to dry conditions is very important because of the water stress problem coming to the world. We are trying this now in the botanical garden. We brought soil from 7 different parts of Turkey of such soil and plants, and now making research on them. And edible herbs is also very important for the same reason, for food security. So these are what we are working on, but on the left-hand side, they are already realized. Now, unless be 100% pure Caucasian bee was thought to be extinct in Turkey, but in a region of 6 villages, a reserve area, we did make an extensive study and found out that this race still exists there. And we made arrangements with the officials to protect the area so that no other races come in. And we kept it pure, started breeding queen bees there. These bees, these queens, produce very productive bees, sometimes 3 times more productive than ordinary bees. And they are they go to work most any weather. Make no excuse about the weather, they go to work. And they are very friendly with the beekeepers. And resistant to diseases. So it's a very, very important race, which now we are breeding them and distributing all over Turkey and trying to rehabilitate Turkish apiculture business with more production. It's unfortunately only 7 kilos per beehive now, 17 kilos per beehive, which should go to about 40. And this bee race, we think, will be a big help. One more example I am elaborating. This is industrial plantation. As you know, over 90% of the Turkish forests are original forests. No man cannot be made by men. And these forests, to keep them, we have to find our wood some other way. And that is through industrial forest plantations with fast-growing trees. After 3 years of studies, we finally established a company, and now we are putting samplings, about 300,000 samplings every year to the ground, and we will have our first spacing in about 4 years, and then in 18 years from the beginning, we will start cutting them when the plants, such fast-growing plants, slow down on growing at a certain time. At that time, you cut them and put the new ones in. And this wood is the most friendly nature wood, because you are saving your original precious forest by such activity. And as these grow, of course, they help also this carbon dioxide problem. To grow, they have to absorb this carbon dioxide, which is our very important flower of the world. So this is not only economically sound, but also serve climate change issue as a carbon absorbing sinks, such sites. Now, what to do? For consumers, a new lifestyle must prevail. In this lifestyle, no room for insane consumption and dreadful waste. Instead of to use and throw away culture, to find means of reuse behavior. Before throwing, what I can do with it, what else I can do with it. Products must be questioned for how nature-friendly they are produced and while used. In other words, any product we take, we must question how this was produced, how much damage it did to our environment. Second, as I use this, how much damage I am making to my own environment. The consumers must question himself when he takes anything to consume. And the producers should not ignore sustainable development, sustainable productions friendly to nature, and also should not ignore this growing awareness of consumers. Consumers started getting, in the United States and Europe now, people before buying a table, they are looking for a label there, how this wood was produced from a natural forest or from a natural forest but with a sustainable production, or from a industrial plantation like I mentioned. Consumers started questioning. Consumer also, of course, started questioning a house, when you buy the house, whether this house is green. As I've used this house, how much damage I am making to my environment or the earth, how much helping the environment. Such important considerations started coming to the consumer world, so the producers should not ignore this development. Now, humankind certainly was not responsible for previous drastic changes of ages of our planet. They were mostly the result of very crashing sociological upheavals. However, if not prevented, the ongoing exhaustion of our Earth will possibly lead to a bewildering new age and will be due to impact of humankind. This time, first time. Therefore, an environmental revolution is inevitable. According to Mr. Brown again, he says this revolution, environmental revolution, should be compressed into a few decades, not into a few centuries like agricultural and industrial revolutions. And there is a clash between mankind and nature. Winner of a clash between nature and mankind will certainly be nature. No question about it. Our planet will simply sentence all livings to extinction, not friendly to ecosystem. This ecosystem is very, very important for nature. Like it has shaken off countless species and civilizations before us. Like dinosaurs for their obesity and magnificent Sumerian civilization for mismanagement of water and soil. Just sentenced to extinction. We should be careful with nature. To serve protection of our planet and all livings on it, and serve a more secure and just world, peace lovers should include in their mission peace between mankind and nature, not only peace between nations and people, peace with mankind and nature is more important when we are talking about peace. So to finish, I say everyone to share efforts in resisting to be friendly with nature. And I thank you for your kind resistance to my broken English.
Oh, no.